Anything you like?
Is there a changing room? Or a robe?
Of course. I can help you. Or if you prefer, I could step outside.
What do most people do?
You don't have to worry about what most people would do.
I understand.
Do you really understand, William? All our hosts are here for you, myself included. We could stay here a while if you like. Take as long as you want.
Thank you. I don't want to keep my friend waiting.
Of course. Take your time.
Jimmi Simpson, thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I've been a fan of your work for a long time, from House of Cards to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it was And Happened Leonard, as I mentioned in the green room.
I love that program.
And it's so wonderful to see you in a production like this in a major role. It feels like getting your due. Does it feel like a massive step for you?
It absolutely does. It doesn't even feel like getting my due. I've been so grateful this strange little career I've had with each weirdo or creep I've played. And you know, each time I would get a job, my folks would say, "Are you playing another asshole?" You know? And
how do you think that happened? Was it you got one weirdo and then it was just kind of like we know he's good at weirdos, so let's get him in.
Yeah, and I'm pretty comfortable playing unappealing types, and I find it really interesting to discover people's human qualities underneath these character traits, and that I was always just kind of beside myself that I kept working. And so now to have Jonah and Lisa offer me this opportunity to play a fully realized three-dimensional human man, I just didn't expect it. So yeah, it's a whole nother level. I'm beside myself, and I'm absolutely grateful. But it's just, I'm not getting my due because I just didn't expect that. I was very content doing what I did.
Were you nervous at all playing a sort of three-dimensional human man? Because it's a different kind of performance that you have to give at that point. The sort of sustained realism that you have to bring to just sort of being is much different to like go in and tear up the scene.
Completely different. I mean, generally, I've been connective tissue to a story. You know, you're watching the story, and then I pop in and I indicate what you should be paying attention to, or I make you laugh, or I creep you out. And then you move back to the story, and here I'm part of this beautiful tapestry of story that Jonah and Lisa have woven, and it was a whole nother level of the craft that I had to figure out and understand for myself, quite honestly.
Well, now let's talk about Westworld, the show itself, because the show is amazing. It's beautiful to look at. It's
stunning,
extremely dense in an entertaining way. When you were shooting the show, you know, were you nervous at all about what it was going to look like afterwards? Because so much of it is special effects, so much of it is stuff that you're not there for while it's being shot. I could imagine you're a part of this massive undertaking. You hope that at the end it's going to look as great as it does.
I suppose. I feel like this career started in a way that really prepped me for not having any expectation of anything like that. My first job was something that my agents and managers were like, "Get ready now," and that wasn't the case. And so everything has been tempered.
What was that job, if you don't mind me asking?
Loser.
The Jason Biggs movie,
Jason
right?
Biggs, Amy Heckerling film. We had an amazing time. It was a really cool movie, but it didn't explode the way Amy hoped. And but it just did prep me for, like, everyone's going to be shouting, "Get ready." It's just not generally the case. Mm-hmm. And so I had no expectations for the show. I understood the scope was epic. I understood we were shooting a television show on film. I haven't even shot a movie.
You guys are shooting on film?
We shot this TV show on film, the entire thing.
Amazing.
I haven't shot a movie on film in a decade. I don't know. And so all of my focus was on this opportunity we talked about. And I was beside myself trying to make sure that I was covering every base that I personally could to tell my part of the story. And so it was, working with the co-stars on the show. We would do prep work before rehearsal. They were really great with rehearsal on the show, which is pretty a strange thing for a television show. So I was always focused on what was happening right then.
Now, I have to ask, obviously we said that you're a three-dimensional, non-psychopath character, but to a degree, I've seen 2 episodes of the show, and I don't want to give anything away. I have a feeling that you're almost too good and that there's something lurking beneath the surface of your character.
Are you asking me a question?
Kind of.
Well, I don't, that's not the case. But there's, I would say there's like a distilling quality when you spend some time in Westworld. It's that ability to exercise your id, to do whatever you want. It's kind of like the Stanford experiment or something. It just, the truth starts to bubble up. So it's not like anything evil is lurking, but I think there's, like I said, a distillation, and you start to see yourself a little bit more clearly. So there's really nothing lurking with William, but everyone who enters the park is probably going to change in a pretty fundamental way.
What do you think about the possibility of an existence of of a park like this? What it actually does to a human being? What it could do to a human being, exercising your id, forgetting about mortality to a degree.
I think that very thing. It just shows you, when you give someone an amount of power inconsistent with their surroundings, they either turn into a total asshole or a benevolent, kind person. So I think it would be a temporary window into what that person is truly like.
Right.
But hopefully they pull their stuff together when they left the park.
Kind of like when a person gets a little too drunk. It's a temporary window into
drunk,
who they
a little
are.
too rich, a little too whatever. It's
Right.
just, then you find out what they're made of, kind of.
You said that you sort of had, after your first job, you sort of were able to temper expectations consistently. But I would imagine with Liam McPoyle, which is now like an iconic cult character from this show.
Why did that happen?
You would never have had that expectations, and all of a sudden this thing totally caught on. Did it feel like that? Like I'm just doing this fun job with these guys on this show, and now it's a massive thing.
No. I didn't expect that. I hoped no one would notice him. No, it was that was this kind of amalgam of some characters. Charlie Day and I had, we lived together when we started off in the late '90s in New York City. And
so you knew those guys beforehand?
Yeah, I didn't know. Charlie met Glenn and Rob. So I met them through him. But Charlie and I went to Williamstown Theater Festival together and met there and then decided to live together. And neither of us were working at all. And so we would take my handy cam and we'd record each other doing the dumbest shit you can imagine and just try to crack each other up. And so we have tapes and tapes of this stuff that was just pre-YouTube. So blessedly we didn't have to curse anyone else with having to watch it. But we watched it repeatedly and we'd make these ridiculous characters. And he was just like, once Rob's like, I got this show, he said, well, you want to do some of that stuff? And so I just went and did some of the stuff for my friend's weird little show that wasn't a thing yet.
Right.
And then it took off, I think, in the first season. Everybody just loved it. And they kept bringing us back because we were disgusting.
And they've really sort of built out the McPoyle sort of mythology at this point.
There's a whole family tree.
Yeah.
There's new siblings popping up here in Yon.
As you've gotten more as you've gotten more and more jobs and they've brought you back to be McPoyle, have you had any reluctance to do some of the stuff they've had Liam do?
No, I'm always happy to set my vanity aside for those guys. It's just there's a little bit of
You're gonna make out with your sister in this scene and pour milk all over yourself.
So much milk. So much milk. I get milk passed down the bar to me way more than anyone's ever bought me actual usable drinks.
Is that true?
Truly.
Bartenders hand you milk?
Yeah, bartenders hand me milk passed down from this lovely man or lady, and then I cheers, but I'm not gonna drink.
Yeah, like
Thank you guys. It's 11 p.m.
I'm at a bar. I'm not here to drink milk. I get the joke. I'm sorry you might have paid a few dollars for that.
Yeah. I know. I feel awful to waste such good leche, but.
Did you ever find that Liam McPoyle got you other gigs that like people?
Never. It never has. It has made everything just slightly more difficult, but I enjoy I enjoy speed bumps and things that are hard to get to. I think it's nice. But no, it's not at all been like a career-building asset, but it's something that I'm super proud to be a part of, and it's always a pleasure to work with Charlie. And so, like you're saying, no, I'm not reluctant to do it, but having a slightly busier schedule makes their little shooting window a little tougher for me.
That's so surprising to me because It's Always Sunny to me still strikes me as a kind of cult-like show that's adored by its fan base and also people who really love TV and love comedy. Like it's a comedy nerd's dream.
Yeah.
And comedy nerds are a lot of the people also making content in Hollywood. I would imagine
I suppose. Yeah.
Get Liam McPoyle in here. We got a lot of milk on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, no, it certainly hasn't been some kind of struggle. But rarely are people thinking, "I saw you just creep the hell out of me in that. Would you play this role?" That doesn't happen that often.
So how did the Westworld role come along?
Some great serendipity, I guess. Like I was doing a play and I was feeling very activated artistically, and then I did Hap and Leonard directly after the play, and that did the same thing. And then as soon as I got home from filming Hap and Leonard, I went and auditioned for Westworld, and I just kind of presumed it was going to be another kind of goofy send-up of dated material. I didn't know they'd shot a huge pilot with Anthony Hopkins. I didn't know anything like that. So I just kind of went in, saw the scene, did my best job. Jonah, the creator, had also created Person of Interest.
Jonathan Nolan, but he goes by Jonah? I didn't realize.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
Jonathan Nolan.
Christopher Nolan's brother, right?
Exactly. He wrote a lot of Chris's scripts, so he's kind of this heady, really brilliant, big-hearted gentleman, and he's got this equally smart and emotionally intelligent wife, and they came up with this idea. He'd previously done Person of Interest. I did, this he's fast-talking millionaire on his show, and he actually said, "I feel like you could do other stuff too." And he ended up bringing me in for this and responding to what I gave him for William, and then giving me the role. So it was a pretty short process, but I also I didn't know how big the project was.
I feel like it's the people who can play creepy weirdos really well who can actually do anything, and those who are immediately put inside a box of like playing the straight man can rarely sort of break out of that and play the really creepy weirdos. Like if you can act well and sell something that's outlandish, you can probably also sell something that's tempered and normal as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it does kind of get you to exercise your limits or lack thereof when you're asked to do so much different stuff. And I've always been so grateful that I do look a little weird, and I was placed into this like, you're gonna play all kinds of different stuff, and.
Do you feel like you look a little weird? I feel like maybe you look a little weird by Hollywood standards or something.
Oh yeah,
but
that's
like,
what I mean. That's what I mean.
Like normal, you're like a
conventional matinee idol. If you're that, you got to kind of do this, and you got to kind of stick around here, and not being that has always been an asset. And so, and that's that gratitude. Like I can't believe I'm working. I'm this kid from rural New Jersey, and I've had this working acting career for 16 years or 17 years, and so then to be allowed to try something new, it's stunning.
How did it start for you as a kid in rural New Jersey? How did you start acting?
Oh, well, I had a little experience with like chorus class and the plays they would do. That was kind of my one kind of artistic endeavor in high school. I was just a skateboarder who kind of half applied myself to school.
Were you a good skateboarder?
I still skate, so I've never been able to, I can ollie up a curb. I've never been able to blow girls' minds with my tricks, but I can. My balance is impeccable, and like I'll skate through the city.
Can you land
flawlessly.
Can you land a kickflip?
Not anymore, because I skate like a longboard, which is I couldn't do it. I could barely do a kickflip on a shortboard.
I'm personally obsessed with skateboarding, but I've never been good at it, and I've never been able to do it. And anytime I meet somebody who can like do a kickflip, really?
I bought a new skateboard just randomly at this place, Uncle Funky's. It's like this basement-style skate shop, and they have this guy, Jace Boards, and he's just this dude who makes boards in Hawaii, and it's just, the balance is so impeccable. It's like the Rolls Royce of skateboards, you guys. Sorry, I don't mean to be excited. They're affordable, too. So, I don't know. It's just like, I love it. It's made my New York experience so much better.
So you skate all around New York City?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I skate
wow.
to my play. I'm doing this play, Empathotrax, right now. That's just, it's down here, Performing Arts Center, with my friend Justine Loop, and I get there on my skateboard.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you were a skateboarder. You barely applied yourself. You started doing chorus and some plays.
Oh, right. So I started doing that stuff, and then I went.
The tangent was my fault. I asked
no,
about skateboarding.
So because of the half-applied student mentality, I had Midland grades, but I had excellent SAT scores, and so I was able to get into 2 schools. I went with the one that I could afford, and it was Bloomsburg University in Pennsylvania. So I went there to get my English and business degree so I could get a job like a human. And then, like, end of year 2, I took a lecture course in theater because I thought I wouldn't have to go. And towards the end of the semester, the professor, Karen Anselm, said to me, I take attendance. I was like, why would you do that? That's dull. And she says, yeah, I'm going to fail you unless you ace the final. And so I really applied myself. It was a scene that you need to prepare. And then she asked me to be a major afterward. And I'd literally never been asked to be a part of anything. And so I thought about it, and I decided I'll add that to my degree. And then I started studying it. So it wasn't until halfway through college. And then after college, because my school was tiny, they didn't have those showcases that a lot of acting schools have, where it kind of helps students like figure out what to do next now that you have this kind of bullshit piece of paper. And it was Williamstown Theater Festival. You could pay some money and then help them build sets, and you get to like see what real actors are like and real directors and what it's like to be an adult making their living barely by doing theater.
And you've been making a living as an actor for 16 years now, which, I mean, small parts, if you're making a living as an actor for 16 years, that is success as an actor.
Crazy. Yeah.
And you met Charlie Day at that Williamstown Festival, and
Yes.
you still do stuff with him.
Yeah, we're still thick as thieves. He and his wife and his son are close friends. Bless you.
Taking it back to Westworld for a minute, this is a show of epic scope. That's how everybody is selling it, and it's very right to sell it that way. It's beautiful and it is epic. What do the sets look like?
It's not. It's real. It's real. That's what's so crazy. I mean, William has this experience when he enters. He's like, "Oh, this is bigger than I thought it was going to be," and that's the case. The sets are. It looks like a real town. Our kind of main town of Sweetwater is a genuine town, at least in its buildings and structure. And then all those backdrops that you're seeing with behind Dolores and James or whoever, that's real. That's the desert. We filmed these extensive exteriors at the Moab Desert. And everyone, the crew, the directors, the cast, we were all just gaping at what we could see. And so it's all real. There's not a green screen in the thing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lie. There's green screens, I'm sure. But when it comes to, like, those backdrops, those are all completely real. Even though they're out of focus, it's like that's just where they were, and that's where that scene was happening.
Because you get to, I mean, if you have those backdrops that are real, you actually get to work a little bit more tangibly. You don't have to move
100%.
stuff around too much. You can, let's go shoot that, let's go shoot
No,
that.
all the lighting is genuine. It was just, the DPs were on point. It's all legit.
Now, are you guys done shooting the whole season at this point? Are you still in the middle?
Yeah, it only took 2 years, but never done. So
Did it
we're
really,
good.
Did it really take 2 years?
It did, all around. It took, I don't know how long. I show up episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the pilot was shot a year before I started. That I assume was probably a month to shoot, and then probably some reshoots, and then the editing. As Joan and Lisa are perfectionists, artful perfectionists, I assume they just had to get it perfect. A year later, we started episode 2, and I think it took us 10 months in all to do the rest of the season.
Wow.
2 to episode 10.
It's essentially a blockbuster movie, but on television. And
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. When you see the pilot, it's just such a stunning achievement. I saw it, and first of all, I couldn't believe Jonah I wasn't familiar with his work. Obviously, I know his words. They're brilliant. But he directed the pilot. It looks so gorgeous.
Yeah.
It looks like Orson Welles directed it or something.
From the opening shot of Evan Rachel Wood, it's like it's perfect.
Yes.
It's really great.
Stunning. And I told him afterward, I was like, that's one of the most beautiful. I hesitate to specify TV shows I've ever seen because it's verging on all the things I've seen.
Yeah.
Like being the best.
Well, I would also say that we say it's like a blockbuster movie, but it's also not like a blockbuster
Oh, it's like
movie.
an art house blockbuster.
Yeah.
Like everything.
It's too smart to
you
be a
hope
real,
for.
to be what we consider normally a
Absolutely.
blockbuster movie.
Every single thing. People question me about the violence, the sex and stuff. I don't even really, it all has a point. It's all perfectly dovetailed together. You understand why they've made every single choice. That's not what you're going to take away. Sure, people looking for a surfacey kind of reaction, they'll get that. But it's so much deeper than that.
There's already been like
profound.
There's already been, I think, minor criticism about the show being maybe like problematic and its handling of women, but there's only been 2 episodes.
It's ridiculous I understand with the clips, I guess if I was like a bit trigger happy, I would be like, wait, that's not okay. Yeah. But everything makes sense.
Absolutely, everything makes sense. And it's about a world that generally men would go to exercise their id. You see some women there, but it's also the world that it's about is what a sort of a man would vacation at.
Yeah, it's definitely, you're right. It's geared towards that experience. Yeah.
So there's going to be a sort of critical approach to how gender is handled within this world. And I think that's exercised by the show.
Yeah, as there should be. And I think everyone will be relatively satisfied, if not have their eyes opened a bit.
Absolutely. Let's open it up to the audience for some questions. You have a question. Hi.
Hi. Okay, so I have 2 questions, one pertaining to your career and then Westworld. Mm-hmm. We were talking a lot about your career and what you've experienced. Is there any role that you have not played that you would like to, as something that you're interested in? And then for Westworld, appropriately, what fantasy would you like to kind of experience / live out?
Yeah, sure. With roles, any role I haven't experienced, I mean, there's so many colors I haven't even touched. If you're looking for the role I want to play, it's probably at least 5, maybe 10 years away, but I would love to play George in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. That's my Hamlet, I think. And the fantasy would probably be about seeing if I could fabricate something that tricks even me. So it would probably be less about like, gunning down people senselessly or whatever, but it would be about like trying to weave myself into the fantasy and see if I could like, become one of them, whether it's like I save the bank guy from getting robbed, or I slowly woo the farm girl over time and just see what could happen. Maybe 3rd or 4th trip, I'll start gunning people down. But that's not where I go to first.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hi.
I'm like the biggest Always Sunny fan. So
Okay.
first I got to ask, what do
Nice
you
to
think?
meet you.
Yeah, what do you think is the worst thing you had to do as Liam? But also pertaining to Westworld, do you find yourself that you're a techie guy because you played this, and then you're going to be, you were Gavin in House of Cards. Is that something you relate to?
The worst thing I had to do on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is probably not keep licking Caitlin Olsen's face once I did lick it, because it was tasty, and they shouldn't have made me stop. And then what was the other question? The kind of techie bent of some roles I play.
Are you a techie?
No, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not super high functioning when it comes to technical stuff. But my brother works for a very highly classified government techie company, and I would pose all of my questions for Gavin to him. I'm like, is this legit? Because Bo Willimon, the creator, he's so brilliantly talented, and everything is always on the level. And so, but I needed to make sure. And he'd be like, I wouldn't do it that way, but yeah, totally, you could do that. That would make sense. But I do have, I think the reason that happens, the tech guy, is I have a kind of a fast-running brain, and so I can come off like I know way more what I'm talking about than I actually do.
I have a quick question about It's Always Sunny, because people keep bringing it up, and I love that show so much.
You do.
You can tell, right?
Yes, because you've told me.
several times. I think two seasons ago there was this great episode about the bar not winning any awards, and it was like and clearly like a parallel to the show not winning any Emmys, even though
funny,
it's
yeah.
been it's one of my favorite episodes of the show. It's
so clever.
It's so funny. It's so well done. What do you think about the show not having won any Emmys after having been on so long and been so consistently funny for 11, 12 seasons at this point?
I don't think much about it, mostly just because I'm just the awards culture when dealing with something so interpretive, it doesn't resonate with me all that much. I tend to the performances that move me the most, the works that move me the most are rarely the ones that are like lauded for that kind of thing. So like I get it, and it seems unfair because such ridiculous stuff wins. Also, some good stuff wins, and I would comment if I were them too on what the hell. But I personally don't think they're missing anything by not winning awards that, in my opinion, are just randomly given out. Yeah, I think they're fine. They'll be fine with 12 seasons.
Next question.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Okay. Quick question.
Yeah.
The Westworld, pertaining to the 1973 film.
Yeah.
You are the one embodying the character of I think his name is James, correct?
The Richard Benjamin part?
Yes.
The non-James Brolin?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've loved that movie ever since I was a kid because I've
Sure.
studied all the arts ever since I was a child.
You should go get your mama. I'm a big Brenner fan.
She made me watch it. It was crazy.
Yeah.
How did you enjoy embodying that character specifically? Because it did leave an imprint in a lot of people's minds of what could possibly happen if you go to these worlds psychologically.
Sure. Well, I'd seen it as a kid. I didn't rewatch it until about halfway through, and it's true. I think the two things that the show takes from that film is, first of all, that seedling that Michael Crichton was brilliant enough to come up with is like, we're depending a lot on AI. What if something goes wrong? Great. And then he told the story from the POV of two accessible humans. One who really indulges his id, Brolin, and then one who is a little more thoughtful, Benjamin. And that's pretty much what Joan and Lisa have taken from the show. So first of all, Richard Benjamin is one of our greatest actors. I mean, he's done so many things that I respect so much, and so I love the fact that I get to carry on this torch. But it's not the same. Imagine for this series, it's like if we had those two guys and then we added like 4 other storylines on top. So I am this residual feeling from the show of like, here's our POV, but the show's so much grander than that. And like I was telling Ricky before, I'm just beside myself that I get to play someone that Richard Benjamin played, because he was never creeping the hell out of people. He was just always such a solid, great actor, and I can't believe I get to like take the baton from him. So it's different, but I'm so flattered that I'm somehow in the same little world with Richard Benjamin.
Specifically, well, that's all.
Yeah.
Specifically, that role was really dope. So yeah.
Well, that's what it is, because it keeps it open. When you don't have an agenda, you have no expectations. You see more. You observe more. And so whereas Ben, who plays the other part, Logan, he's off always trying to bang things and to shoot things, and that's all he sees. All I see, I see glitches, I see that's an aberration, this is different. And so that's what you get off on as an audience member, is the person who, like you, might have their eyes a little bit more open. Yeah. Cool, thank you.
Jimmy, congratulations. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to you.
Westworld, Sunday night premiere.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It's Sunday night. It's one of the best things you'll ever see. I'll show up the next week on the 9th.
Yeah. I was disappointed that you weren't in the first episode, because I was looking forward to, but then you are very much
I love
in
a
the
slow
second
play,
episode.
though. Not just in cards, in life. I like to slow play it and then surprise people.
Jimmy, thanks so much for being here, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.